host, Catherine Reed, and today we are talking about Collect for Kids. Joining me on the set in this first segment is Susan Ungerer. She is the CEO and founder of Kids Are First, and Sherry Naud, who is a school social worker with Fairfax County Public School System. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Collect for Kids is a countywide, Northern Virginia actually, because I think you're doing work in Loudoun County as well, service to meet the needs for the children in this county who cannot afford school supplies. And this Collect for Kids, I understand, is made up of about 15 different organizations, but the genesis is really Kids Are First, which started in your garage, Susan. So tell us how you came to start this very, very important nonprofit all-volunteer organization.
Thank you for the invitation today to share this story. The biggest situation occurred for me when I was in the classroom, and I had children that were coming in without anything. And so I would very quietly provide something for them, and if they would say, well, when my mother gets paid or my parents get, money, then I will buy my school supplies. And I would say, that's fine. Well, but they would never bring them in. And so if they didn't have them and they didn't have supplies, they would get behind in their classwork.
Right.
That was a real serious issue. So not wanting that to happen, I provided those supplies for them. But when I retired from teaching, I was doing some volunteer work with Herndon Wrist and Fish. And out of that program, people call in for emergency needs. And as an family assistance worker, we would always ask them, why did you call in? What was your emergency in your family? They couldn't pay rent or utilities, not entirely, but they were calling in for help. They said, we were just trying to get some of our children's school supplies, and that put us behind. So I said to the board, let's take some of our funds. And so Herndon Rest and Fish, and actually the Closet in Herndon, we pooled some money together, and I went out and would ask, some of the suppliers like a CVS and that group to give me some of the school supplies at a reduced rate. Well, it wasn't really an organization yet, so I was able, though, to get these supplies, and I started bringing them home to my garage. And my garage was getting more and more full and so forth. So it started out the first year, we helped 4 schools, and 2 in Reston and 2 in Herndon. And it was 450 children. Well, it was such a success that the school said, we hope you'll repeat this again. Well, we did this the second year, so we did 800. Then we did 1,200. But it wasn't really the mission of Herndon Rest and Fish. So what we did was I resigned from Fish and founded Kids Are First and started the organization. But the biggest situation was that we found there was a drastic cut in the phone calls of the emergency need. So it really was showing that there was a cause and effect. And so the Kids Are First was founded. So year after year, started out in 1998 when I started this program. Actually, 1995 through Herndon Rest and Fish. Then 1998, I actually founded Kids Are First. So then we moved forward, and it was from 1998, 10 years, to 2008, when Jay was on board at Fairfax County Schools, and he then heard about us and say, tell me about it, let me come see it. So it had grown to that point. And I can't even remember right now the numbers where we were but at that time, but I will share with you that this coming school year, we are helping 32,000 children.
32,000, that's a staggering number. Sherry, so when did you come into this picture to try to figure out need assessment, distribution, and plugging into what the schools were doing already themselves?
Sure. So I am a school social worker, but I work at the division level to provide support to kids in need wherever they are in our almost 200 schools and centers. So I started my work with FCPS really in the homeless office, and so there I became aware that every year we have at least 2,500 students who are homeless, And we wanted to begin to develop some resources to offer our homeless students the basic school supplies, right? So it started from there. But over time, I learned about the Collect for Kids initiative, and I learned about Kids Are First, and I said, how is it that I've never heard about this great work this organization is doing, you know? And so by being a part of Collect for Kids and continuing to have my ear in the schools, really, because I collaborate with my colleagues in all the schools,
Right.
then I'm able to provide some guidance around which are our schools with high need who are not getting any support this year for whatever reason. And the other benefit of me, I guess, being aware of the need is that because we're a school system, we get offers of donations throughout the school year. And because we have this structure in place for Collect for Kids, we're able to provide back to school support essentially throughout the school year because we've made it our project, I guess, to be that resource all school year long.
Because you had talked a little bit about, before we started the show, about the mobility of a lot of these low-income kids. They move around, and therefore kids are coming in mid-year. It's not that you solve the problem September 1.
Right. Well, and in many cases, children in elementary school may need 5 composition books, for example, you know, and then housing in many cases is precarious, and somebody loses a job, somebody misses a few days of work, and they're not able to meet the rent obligation, and they're looking for another place where they can stay. And so yes, many of our schools have needs throughout the school year for school supplies and backpacks, and we don't want any student to not have the essentials when they're in our schools.
Well, it's the tools of education, right? I mean, you're a retired school teacher, and without pencil and without paper and scissors or glue or a ruler or a calculator or whatever, they can't really do the work of education. So it started in your garage. How has it moved now? Do you still have a garage full of supplies, or have you gone to a bigger space?
There is no way. Okay, this is a very interesting process. As we moved from my garage, basically the 4th year, we moved to Langston Hughes Middle School in Reston. They graciously shared their cafeteria for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so we had to physically get everything ordered and then bring it in and then disperse it, you know, to the schools. But the way that we have done it is really, it's been kind of an interesting model. What we've done is in the spring of the year, and we've already sent out to the schools our school supply list. That it's a combination of 29 different items that, as we talked about, the basics. So each school puts their order in for the students that are on free or reduced price meals. And those, it's all filled out, it's returned to us, and it will be completed by May 5th. We combine every school's order in a community with the rest of the community. So all of the schools that are in Reston, Herndon, Sterling, Centerville, Chantilly, and all of the other communities that we're working with, they're all going to be turned in. This one huge list is all compiled on a spreadsheet through, you know, an Excel spreadsheet, and I get that last line number, and I then negotiate with Office Depot and Walmart for pricing for those items. Last year, to share with you, we purchased 30,000 composition books. We totaled 322,000 units of school supplies. 1 dozen pencils would be 1 unit. 1 notebook is 1 unit. So you can imagine, we outgrew the facility at Langston Hughes. We have now been graciously received in the cafeteria at Rachel Carson Middle School in Herndon. And so the way it works is that all of these items are bulk ordered, and we get that huge price break of $1 to $3 or $1 to $4. Okay. And so it's all, then it comes in, it's ordered, it has to arrive on a 2-day period for us. And items for Office Depot arrive on 1 day, and Walmart items arrive at another day. And we have teenagers in the county that come and help us unload those trucks, and then we literally fill the cafeteria, start on the bottom, on the floor, and work up and all the way around with those 29 items. then we have volunteers, and this is where we need help in the
Okay.
community.
This is
We
what-
need
this is what you
community
need.
help.
Okay.
We need help. So we need help to get volunteers to come in and work with us to fill those itemized custom orders for schools, and that order is filled, and then it has then either the school county, which Sherry has so graciously helped us get the trucks, and then they come pick it up and take it to the school, or the schools come pick it up. And we're finished in 2 weeks. We have to, because the school cafeteria then has to be gotten ready for school to begin. So we have to do everything, get it all organized, and get it in and out to the kids. So it's huge.
It
huge.
sounds like an amazing, massive effort crammed
is.
a lot of people, a lot of
is.
supplies
It is.
into
It is.
a very short period of time. And then you get them distributed, and the school year starts.
Right, but the thing is, we don't have the backpacks to put them in. So this is where it's wonderful that we have partnerships with Cornerstones and Western Fairfax Christian Ministries. They have their donors getting the backpacks,
Right.
and then they're distributed to the schools, and our supplies go in the backpacks, so the kids get them before they start school.
This is an amazing system and such efficiency. Such efficiency. So school starts, we've got backpacks, we've got supplies in the backpacks, so the kids are sitting in the classroom at their desk, pencils ready, paper in front of them, composition books. And throughout the year, what do you do to keep this going, Sherry? I mean, as far as referrals that you get, as far as continuing to find partners, raise money, how does that look throughout the rest of the year?
Well, another gift that Susan has given us through Kids Are First really is a supply drive that she heads up after she's finished with the large distribution project. She then stands outside of Walmart in Chantilly and asks people if they will donate items on our list. And we've been engaging teens in that as well, because it's pretty compelling. Susan is also very compelling when she asks, how could you say no? I mean, she's doing so much for this cause already, And people are very generous.
They are.
Susan then gives me, meaning FCPS, all of the supplies that are donated from Walmart, and I am able to utilize some warehouse space to keep everything organized. And as needs arise throughout the school year, I work through our warehouse system to transport supplies to where they're needed.
Well, that's fantastic. I so appreciate the two of you being here. You are doing a tremendous service to the school children in this county.
Thank you.
Please join us after this break when we'll be talking to Jay Garant and Joanne Walton with a few more details about how we are meeting the needs of school children here in all of our communities. And this is the information that you really need to know.
Oh, look, a redhead.
Staring contest.
You still got it.
I know. Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
They were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and joining me in this segment are Joanne Walton of Bright Paths. She's the Seasonal Programs Coordinator, and Jay Garant, who is with the Fairfax County Public Schools Office for Business and Community Partnerships. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about how you determined that there was an unmet need, Jay, and how Bright Paths determined that they could work in partnership with your office to help meet that need.
I'll lead off. My wife is a teacher, first of all, in Fairfax County Public Schools, so you see the need and hear about the need right away when that happens. When in your basement you try to keep food and hygiene items and school supplies for some kids who might not have it. So that's one way that I found out about it.
Right, that would, yeah, she's in the field, front
Right.
lines.
Fairfax County Public Schools, of course, is well aware of the challenges that some 50,000, 51,000 students in poverty bring to a school system. And it's nothing that we aren't working on in multiple pockets throughout the school system. There are a lot of people working on it. What really excited me about this Collect for Kids effort is it was born organically. One of the organizations, Kids Are First, gave me a call and started to talk about what was happening in other places, and we said, well, let's talk more. Let's begin to figure this out. So it was that organization, a for-profit, Apple Federal Credit Union, the Office of Public-Private Partnerships, my office, a few others, began to get together and talk, and one of the first things we did was develop that inventory of who else is involved in this sort of work. And it really was just born out of discussions and relationships, and how can we do this better?
So you've been doing this since 2008, but you said the Office for Partnerships in the School System's actually been around since 1980. So in 2008, you took over the job. How have you seen your job evolve? When did this idea for Collect for Kids actually bubble up?
Right. So Collect for Kids really got started in about 2010, and 2011 is our first reporting year. And in 2011, we served about 16,000 students, we figure, the whole group. This past year, we served 37,000 students.
Wow, that's a huge
Let
leap.
me repeat that. It was 16,000 in 2011, 37,000 in 2016. So that's about 127% increase, if I remember my talking points.
But, and some of that we could say might have been the recession, but we can't really say that in 2016, 2017, can we? Say that this is still, an expected sort of economic impact because we suffered from the recession starting in like 2009, 2008, 2009, certainly by 2010, we really started to notice that there were a lot of families that were not making it financially. But if the numbers are still high, how can that be when it's 2017? What are we seeing as far as the patterns?
Well, I'm not an expert on the patterns of poverty, so that would be very difficult for me to answer. But the numbers have been high for a long time. Did they go up after the recession? Yes. And, you can look at a smaller subset too, just the number of homeless students. That number, really spiked in 2009, 10. I'm kind of guessing here on the dates, but that's a leading indicator, I guess, of other areas. It's very hidden poverty in our county, right? There's so much wealth that people don't notice that there are 50,000 students receiving free or reduced price meals in our school district. And that's more than DC Public Schools has kids, right? So this is a big number.
That is a huge number. I had no idea.
Yeah. And
So
I would say, from Bright Path's perspective, I think some of the impacts are the fact that the minimum wage hasn't been raised in about 10 years, and also the cost of housing. I think really, most families in this situation are paying 60% of their income on housing. So they really don't have a lot extra, and as all the other things are increasing, dramatically, the cost of the housing, the cost of the supplies, the school supplies, the cost of everything, really, food. So I think it's just they can't keep up and can't keep pace.
And that's the thing I think we have found in the public school systems is food and school supplies. And I guess that's where Bright Paths has come in to work with the county school system on the Back to School program, which I believe starts this year in July.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we really want to sort of stress that and make sure that comes across, because a lot of times people don't start thinking about back to school until August, and then we're pretty much done. So yeah, we pretty much kick off in July 1st at Bright Paths, and so we actually do all of our collecting and everything, and then the first couple of weeks of August we need a lot of volunteers and hands-on people to come and help with the distribution to the schools that we work with. So yeah, definitely want to get it out there, and we're going to try and start to target, I started to think about where are people in July, and we're looking at working with summer camps and working with local pools schools and trying to find people and get them involved and thinking a little ahead,
Right.
hopefully. So.
And you know, there are 15, 16 organizations involved in Collect for Kids,
Right.
for-profit, not-for-profit, and government, right? And
Amazing.
before the taping of this show, I was already starting to work on some of the communications work with Kathy in my office. So, you know, the work to fundraise and to get some communications work out has already begun. It's July, and then the beginning of August really is when things ramp up on the collection and volunteer side, right? But we've already started.
Well, I would assume it's probably a year-round effort because it's not just the school supplies, it's the partnerships and developing these partnerships, also finding out where the kids need to be served, raising the money, and then raising the money because you just never stop raising funds. And then actually collecting the supplies and then deploying them where they need to go. Has that system become more efficient with every year that you've done this? I mean, it seems to me you're serving more and more students every year. You've got more. 15 is a lot of partners. So what are the efficiencies? How does that look trying to manage all of that?
Right. So I think it's probably as Susan indicated, and she talks about basically we can harness, the buying power, and when you have those kinds of numbers, that all of the partners can benefit from, getting the supplies for, at the lowest possible.
Because you're buying in massive quantities.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's where the benefit of the partnership.
We can turn $1 into $3 worth of school supplies. So that's pretty good value.
Well, that's good volume. But then what does your distribution network look like?
It is decentralized, and that's
Okay.
a good thing, right? And here's why that's important. And the group I work with, they've heard this joke a lot. I'm going to make it really quick. But imagine a woman CEO walking into her day, the first day, and there are 3 envelopes. And the envelope that she opens first after a year of work, it says, open when there are troubles. And she opens it, and it says, decentralize. 3 years later, she opens the next one because there's troubles. It says centralize. 3 years later, she opens the last one. What's it say? Prepare 3 envelopes. Right?
That's a pretty good one.
Right. My point being that if that first group had gotten together and said, all right, let's centralize this, we would have taken the passion from people.
Right. The ownership, the
The
stakeholders.
ownership and passion.
Yeah.
So the distribution models, which was your original question, sorry for the joke and the long way to get there, it's decentralized because that's where passions are. And people like to work local. We get that. We didn't want to mess things up. We wanted to collaborate, coordinate, try to streamline, look at best practices. And I think the results at 128% increase has shown some success.
So given the size of the county, and it's a huge county, and we have a lot of schools, it's a gigantic school system, are there spots where you've got gaps in how you're able to deliver to the schools? I mean, how do you determine that, and where do you look for partners when you have an area of the county or specific areas where you don't feel like you have enough coverage?
Yeah. So, if we had started with a blank sheet of paper, we probably would have started in the parts of the county where there are poverty. But we didn't start with a blank sheet of paper. We started with organizations that were active and involved.
Already where they were.
And so where they were mattered. And what we're trying to do is filter through discussions to get to those other schools where we have need. If we hear that Cameron Elementary School has 2 partners, well, let's talk to one of those partners and say, can you move to another school?
That would be great. But somebody has to coordinate all of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, we try to do it, and we try to also work with some of the natural community organizations that are in certain areas, like Falls Church right now is working pretty well with Rotary and the local, so they sort of take on that onus and that responsibility of getting the truck and getting the supplies from our distribution site and bringing them to the schools, because they don't feel that the social workers should have to do that.
Agreed.
Because that's taking time out of their.
And it's very interesting you say the Falls Church Rotary Club, because I know them very well. I'm a Centerville Rotarian. And given that there's like over 30 Rotary clubs in Northern Virginia, service clubs are a natural partner for this sort of thing, but probably not all of them are involved to the extent that Falls Church is, I would imagine. So in expanding, do you see potentiality for trying to target some groups that might be natural fits?
Yeah, well, The Bailey's Rotary Club is
that's
very
good.
active,
Yeah.
and you know,
Bailey's too. Definitely.
they're doing a lot of really great things again in the Stewart Pyramid. So yes, there are models. We're looking at them. We have a steering committee that we talk about.
that's
You know,
great.
how do we grow? Because we kind of feel like we may have capped out on the low-hanging fruit part of this. How do we grow? One of the other ideas that I think is interesting and we're going to work on, and we started to work on actually, is the school-to-school model. Can a school with wealth and its PTA look to a school with poverty and set up a partnership where they can do not just school supplies, but a pen pal program, a come to my backyard field day, other things, right?
That is a great idea.
Holidays, right? Holiday
That's-
support.
That is a great idea. I mean, and it's kind of a natural sort of thing too, because we have neighborhood elementary schools. I think also people don't realize that given the density of population in our county, we have a lot of elementary schools that are in fairly close proximity to each other, but in very different neighborhoods, socioeconomically speaking.
Can I throw out a call to action?
Please do. I want you to.
Go to collectforkids.org and donate, because again, we can turn $1 into $3 worth of school supplies. For between $6 and $10, right, we can get a kid all of the school supplies needed to start school with success, right?
That's
Imagine a
amazing.
kid
That's
going to school
incredible.
and not having things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And and money really is the best way. Money is the best way because you've got the relationships, you can buy in bulk, you can turn $1 into $3. But a lot of times, things like the Rotary Club, they want to be more hands-on. So it's good that you have other avenues for people like, no, I want to do a backpack drive. And I mean, there are people who really want to do the touchy-feely part of that. So is that something that people can look to Bright Paths is sort of like we want to do a backpack drive and then turn that over?
Yes, absolutely. And depending on where you are in the county, and some of our partners that we mentioned, that's all they do, like Cornerstones and UCM. That's their thing, and that's like again what Jay talked about as far as like starting where all the organizations were and sort of piecing things together and making sure that we all got connected where we needed to be and that we knew where everybody was sort of working to try and make up for the needs where there is a lack of support.
Well, that's
So, yeah,
wonderful.
absolutely.
That is wonderful. Thanks to both of you for being here. And this has been your need to know about Collect for Kids. So donate, go to the website, find out how you can be a part of meeting these needs.